Akame got killed, episode 2, Kill the Authority. Now, coming off that last episode, which was, the premiere to this series, these new characters and stuff, this is actually sort of the, downgraded version of it, which always happens in manga and anime and stuff, where, like, the first one is just, like, go crazy, go balls to the wall, show people what this is about. And this one we got to learn the characters and not just the world, which is actually really nice. And we got to learn more about Akame and the rest of the team, and we learn more about the skills of Tatsumi and how he's actually as good as he says. And he goes into this battle, in the end of the episode, his first true mission. And sorry, it's incredibly loud. I know the rain is probably like way louder than it should be on my camera because the camera just picks up so much. But it was definitely an amazing episode. I love the action and the ending fights. It was actually really amazing. But even before that, this had much more of the typical anime mannerisms than the last episode, where there was a lot of comedy in it. We got to meet all the characters a little bit more. They weren't just introduced as like epic killing machines and stuff. They were introduced as the people that they were. We even got to meet the actual leader of the group this time. So that was very cool. We got to see the guy in the armor without his armor and his super crazy pompadour. And of course, as soon as Tatsumi shakes his hand, the woman's like, Andy's gay. And it's just like, she threw that out there. And it's exactly like that in the manga. And I remember that. It was just like, oh, nice to meet you. Andy's gay. And it was exactly like that. So I love that it was the same way as in the manga. That was really funny to me. And he's like, hey, don't give him any ideas. And then he's like, yet. And I just thought, that was nice and funny too. But we got to meet more of the characters, or get to know more about the characters and see them interact with each other outside of a fighting situation. So that was cool. They just talk with Tatsumi and stuff, and we see that Akame is actually super tough and very stoic with him and things like that. And then once he comes back from his mission, he's totally fine. There's nothing to it. It's just like, you're totally fine. Like, alright, I'm glad you like that. And I think that was something that changed up, because I'm pretty sure in the manga he goes through all the training before they let him fight. So it was actually just a way to kind of keep the action going, instead of here's like 2 or 3 training episodes and then he finally has his first mission. So I think I'm going to like the pace of this one, where they add in even more villains. Or maybe they just make them a little bit earlier compared to, where they come in during the manga. But it was definitely amazing. He goes on this mission by himself. Akame and, I'm just going to call her the cat girl, they easily dispatch the one guy they're with. And he comes out the bathroom and he's like, it won't be the same again and stuff. And it's like, alright, let me get back to this. He just gets grabbed. I thought she was going to like rip his neck open. It was just, she held him down. Akame did like a little pierce in his heart and it was done. And that was it. And it was just a cool little scene. Like, just full on ninja mode. They took him down. Done. And in that scene, that's when I actually realized how insanely long Akame's katana is, because there was like maybe this much blood, but like the rest of the katana was clean. But she still stabbed him enough to kill him. Like, it went deep enough, but it just seemed like really, really long compared to other katanas. And so I just thought that was just something I noticed looking at that scene. But that was really cool. And then he goes through, and it started off funny when he's like, please let me join the army and stuff like that. It was a funny little scene. And then he goes through, I thought he did kill the guy initially. I thought what was going to happen is he'd kill that guy and it would be nothing. But then he realized that his crew was actually behind him the whole time. Or they at least followed him out there, just, they waited far behind. And he'd have to fight like 4 or 5 different people. That's how I thought that episode was going to end. And instead the guy gets up and they have like a struggle, and they introduce auras in this episode, and that seems to be fairly important, especially in the end, because it seemed like it was something pretty simple when Akame mentioned it for the fish, but then when the guy said like this kid doesn't have an aura, it was like, okay, he's hiding it, like he's doing this on purpose, so I have to kind of be careful, or he's not doing it and he's just a normal person. And that was one of the things I had a question with. Like, I don't know if everyone has one, or if it's like you have one if you're like a fighter, and then so it's like you kind of have to balance, like either he's a normal person and that's why he doesn't have one, or he's hiding it and he's going to try to kill me. And of course he knew once he was walking away, and it was a nice little tense moment when he was like, they wouldn't even accept my application. Tatsumi reaches for his sword, the other dude reaches for his, and I'm like, this is about to, get really cool. And he hits him with the one strike, and then they have their big battle, and the guy, when he does the one specific hit, and it like cracks the ground and everything, that was really interesting because the attack that Tatsumi did in the last episode when he killed that giant bug creature, it was like, okay, it's kind of like an anime move where they move impossibly, and that's just it. But that's like his signature thing because he does that again as his finishing blow after he listens to the guy, and I knew that that would get him. It was like where he heard that basically what happened to him was going to happen to someone else, and it would be even worse because that person, the woman who lost her husband, would be killed herself and lose a bunch of other people before that. And that's what kind of triggered him into like his, heightened state. And so he, does whatever anime move that they didn't show us, flings the guy's arms off, and he ends up launching through, into the sky. And it was a cool little slow motion scene where he's talking and stuff. And I love the way they animated the blood coming off the blade in slow motion, where it was like a semicircle until he actually came down and cut the guy. That was a cool little scene. I did notice, and I just thought it was funny, the animation on the hands was different because it's like, well, we don't have to really animate these like crazy. So it was different animation. It made me think of Kill la Kill, actually, when they would do like the silly animation. That's what it was like. It was a little bit cheaper and they could do it that way. And it was just something I noticed, so I wanted to point that out because it was funny to me. But then he comes down, and I guess they kind of needed to do that animation because then they go like super full on crazy epic final cross attack, and the blood, it changes animation style. It's like it's almost like a painting when you see it in TV when they have like moving paintings and stuff, and they zoom in. It was just like that, and I thought it looked amazing with the blood coming out because it was like the blood looked 3D, and it was definitely 3D, but it looked really, really amazing. And the art on Tatsumi was cool, and the blood off his sword. But the guy having the blood like shooting off of him, like with the cross and where his arms were, it just looked so cool. It was like it was shooting out so fast, but obviously they did it in super slow motion. It was almost just like red smoke coming out a little bit. And it just looked really, really cool. And I love that final scene. I'd love to see it if that's how they do every final kill. And that would just be amazing. But even if they don't, it doesn't matter. That was just a great first mission kill for Tatsumi's character and his second kill overall. But it was a great, great episode. Really love the action. I'm really excited to see the training for the next couple episodes and see him work up to even tougher enemies and eventually work with the rest of the team, because he was literally by himself. He didn't even work with the other three members that were there. It was like two people went to deal with one guy, and then he went by himself. So we still haven't seen him work really as a part of the team. He did the training for teamwork, like communication for the food and the killing for the hunting, but really that was it. And we didn't get to see him have teamwork. It was like communication teamwork, but not fighting teamwork for an enemy that is too tough for him to take on by himself, or for someone else even, or if it's just a big group versus some of the people in Night Raid. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is some of the teamwork group kills that he's going to be having later in that series. But this is definitely a cool second episode. I actually like getting to know more about the characters. It had some typical sort of anime comedy in it, which was definitely nice for the first episode as a contrast, which definitely had some funny stuff, of course, but that ending is just like so devastating still to me. It's just like, it's just, different from most things where it's just like, oh, these are going to be the main characters and they're just dead. And it's still so depressing to me. Like, it's just not what I was expecting, and it still affects me having known that for so long. So going into this, it was a nice more comedy based and not as depressing and tragic, but it still had the tragic stuff in it for sure, like the woman having to sell her body to get the money to get vengeance on the ogre guy and stuff like that. So it definitely still had that element. It just wasn't attached to the main character and kind of throwing a curveball on us. We just flat out knew this time. But it was a great second episode, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And the big question that I have for this episode is what you guys thought of Akame training Tatsumi and how that played out as far as her personality before he left. And then we find out she's like actually totally fine. She's like super upbeat and stuff. She gives him like the cute smile and everything, and he's just like, holy crap, she's totally different. And it's not like the girl he's going to end up working with in the next episode who's just like that and she's just treating him like crap right now. Akame was kind of deadpan and seemed like she didn't give a crap, and then it's like, oh, you actually could do it. Now we can be like best friends and stuff like that. So I want to know what you guys thought about that training and her switching personality and kind of her hiding her true emotions behind, I don't know if this guy's going to even come back. I don't want to ease him into this because it's not an easy thing. It's killing people, and I have to prepare him for that. So I enjoyed it, but like I said, I want to know what you guys thought. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.